Hello again, everybody. It is Tuesday, November 5th, Election Day here in the United States. I am Dr. Richard Smith, Executive Chairman of the Foundation for the Study of Cycles, bringing you another episode of Cycles TV here on our Cycles TV YouTube channel, bringing all this to you for free. We got 3 shows going now. Lars von Tienen, myself, and Jake Bernstein, plus extra goodies and interviews. Did a great interview, which we posted over the weekend with Rabbi Daniel Lapin, aka America's Rabbi. I found it very heartening and informative. I hope everybody gets a chance to check it out. In the meantime, we've got markets to look at. We're in the thick of it. It's election day here in the United States, and markets are not waiting around to find out who's going to win. Markets are on the move. And today, I wanted to highlight a trade that I'm seeing that I'm going to share with you in Ethereum that caught my eye. And this is trading market cycles. So we're looking at shorter term cycles, looking for the best setups, and trying to integrate cycles into a successful trading strategy. So we're going to talk about that. But before we do, hello, everybody. Good to be with you again. Briefly, we will take a look at what we were looking at last week, the last time we were together, which was what's happening in markets, stock markets, equities. And I was seeing some caution signs, some warning flags, while also acknowledging that we are in the most bullish period of the year from now until the beginning of January. So let's just take a look back at what we were looking at last week, and then we'll get into Ethereum and take your questions. So let me get going, share my screen, make some adjustments here. Sorry about the infinite mirror. All right, so here's what we were looking at last week. This is the weekly data on all 4 indices. I really like this chart, actually. And this is some more advanced charting that is available inside of the Foundation's Cycles app. It's called Super Charts, and you can actually integrate it with multiple cycles, etc. And this was just looking at the long-term weekly cycles with the NASDAQ in teal here kind of being the earliest of the 180-week or 40-month cycles to peak. And this has been the past week of data here, so not a whole lot of change. All right, and then here was the important chart that we were looking at in the E-mini S&P, right, with the 80-day cycle here rolling over, and then this 4-hour cycle here rolling over too. And we've got the NASDAQ already peaked and the E-mini on the weekly cycle coming into a peak. Of course, we could get plenty of right translation. So, but still had kind of a confluence here. And indeed, we got a nice move down over the week. I think we were about right here when we got together last time. And, nothing earth shattering, but definitely got a down move here. So let's just take a quick look at this cycle on the 4-hour data in the E-mini. Let me turn on my little highlighter here. Again, here's where we were last week, right about here when this 4-hour cycle was topping. Okay, I can zoom in a little bit. Down here, we had momentum, not a serious sell signal. That had happened a while earlier, but nothing to get too excited about either. So we've had the move down, and now we're getting momentum coming back up. I don't know how well you can see that. It's as big as I can make it right now. I guess I could zoom in a little bit, and we actually have kind of just clicked into the inside the band. And if we update this cycle with the latest data, so it's 144 periods back when we detected it last week. If I go incorporate all the latest data here, let me actually unpin this. Okay. All right. Okay, so we can actually see that the cycle is shrinking a little bit. Now it's 141 periods, although we got a few extra bars in here. I think this is 880 bars. So if I bring this back to just 850 bars here, okay, now you can see it's shortening even more. It's 139. So these are dynamic cycles, and cycles do shift. So we're definitely coming into the bottom of this 4-hour cycle here. And again, I think we're getting a little bit of break up in the CRSI there. Let me just take you down to the 2-hour data, where we have a pretty clear cycle here at 244. And that one also has bottomed and is moving up inside of the bands as well. Momentum moving up. Look, nobody knows what's going to happen in this election. The markets think they know. They're certainly betting in a particular direction. But anything we do today is at risk of excessive volatility later this evening. So on the whole, though, good call last week. And nice move down here. We'll see if it's run its course or not. All right, so now moving on to Ethereum. And here's what caught my eye and why I wanted to focus on Ethereum this week. So this is 2-hour data in Ethereum. Okay, 120 minutes, 2-hour data. And we've got 3 cycles in particular, the 110, 241, and 164. And you can see them all on the spectrum here. So your 241 here, 164, and 110. All pretty clear. The 110 is a little muddy because we've got these 2 peaks here. The edges not quite as well defined here, but still the 1, 2, 3 cycles all bottoming in Ethereum on the 2-hour data and pointing up with a, let me see if I can get that bigger for us. Yeah, we haven't quite crossed into the bottom band there yet on Ethereum, but definitely on the way there and getting close. So this is the best setup of my indicators that I could find this week in terms of cycles. So this is what I wanted to highlight. And just looking at some of the shorter term data, excuse me, try that again. Okay. All right, so here's the 1-hour data in Ethereum. Definitely got the buy on the 1-hour cycle, the clear cycle on here, 127. Okay, so that's supportive of the idea that we're going to continue to get some momentum up here on the 2-hour data. And did I have all 3 of these on here still? Let's see, 244. Oh, that's the ES. My apologies. All right, back on the 2-hour here, we had the 110, 241, and 164. Okay. Briefly, we can also look at the daily data in Ethereum. And we've got a few cycles. It's 287. bottoming, right? And we looked at this a couple weeks ago when we looked at Bitcoin and Ethereum and this 200-day cycle. And if we go down to there it is, the 80-day cycle, everything pretty supportive, not just in Ethereum, in cryptocurrencies in general. I've been talking about this for a few weeks. Here's actually a chart, okay, similar to the chart I did on the, what happened, cursor? Just don't like this. Won't come down here, okay. We'll turn you off for the moment. So here we have daily cycles on Ethereum, Bitcoin, I think Solana, and the total cryptocurrency space. And we can see all of them bottoming here on the daily cycles and starting to move up. Okay, that's the bigger picture. Just looking at Ethereum here a little more closely, daily data on Ethereum. Again, the cycles up overall, but I just wanted to point out moving averages, trends are not perfect. Okay, this is tight territory here. Okay, little uptrend here, but overall caution. And here, just looking at the cycles separately, the daily cycle on the 80-day cycle peaking a little bit, but we can see on the shorter term cycles here getting a confluence of bottoms and good momentum up. So now going back, just revisiting, where is it? It's the 2-hour signal here, right? We got our 3 top cycles. And let me also jump over and just look at the trends. So Bitcoin and Ethereum, both, pretty good trends. Bitcoin stronger than Ethereum, but the trends have been positive in both. In Ethereum, we're seeing support from the commercials, the institutions here accumulating. And seasonally, November is a bullish month, not the most bullish month, but not bearish. So that's the overall picture on Ethereum. And just wanted to look briefly too at, well, this is Bitcoin. You can see it's above its moving averages. It also has bullish cycles. And then just look, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think it's still something to pay attention to. We've got Bitcoin outperforming Ethereum, right? This is going back to what, 2022? And we can clearly see Bitcoin has been outperforming Ethereum. And if we look at, this is a chart of Bitcoin dominance. So what percentage of the market, the total crypto market, is Bitcoin? And just looking to see if we can see any cycles in here. There is this 80-day cycle. Surprise, surprise, right? Not the strongest cycle. And I'm not sure I really see a ton in here, but I just wanted to share this with y'all anyways. Here's my Southern drawl coming out. Bitcoin has clearly been dominating. It's been rather relentless, and cycles don't suggest that the end of that is imminent, although momentum has gotten, pretty far above the bands at this point. All right, so that's the big picture. Let me take a break here for just a second, see if you have any questions. And then we'll get into a little bit of risk management around this particular opportunity. So let me make a little adjustment here so I can see everybody. So anybody got any questions about what I presented so far? Overall, when I'm looking at the markets, what's happening right now, and the signals that I'm getting on my shorter term cycles, I see equities popping, I see crypto popping, I see metals holding their highs, bonds faltering, all things that we've talked about more or less, as being ongoing themes. So I'm not really seeing anything super different than what we've been talking about for the last few weeks. All right, so let's talk now a little bit about trading Ethereum, right? So we've got a short-term trade in Ethereum that we're looking at here. Let me jump back to my other charts. Okay, so here's our trade. We got this nice triple bottom here. We can extend this out a little further. Oops, wrong thing, sorry. Wanted to go here. There's a lot of functionality here that we have not covered. It's part of the kind of advanced work in cycles. Again, 2-hour data. So this trade goes out from November 5th out to, about 2 weeks. Okay, and we're working with 2-hour data. So let's go over here now. And we're going to say 2-hour data on Ethereum. And long, and I put 0.1 futures contracts. So that is about 5 Ethereum, because a futures contract is 50 Ethereum. So a tenth of a futures contract is about 5 Ethereum. So our exposure on just 5 Ethereum on 2-hour data, $1,193. There's no diversification here. That's saying, 5 Ethereum over about a 2-week period. Everything goes against us 10 periods in a row. So about 1 day of solid downward move in that position would be about $1,200 of losses, or vice versa, $1,200 of gains. Okay. And then we can, so, that's, if that's comfortable for you, great. If not, you can take a smaller position. You can take a larger position. It's important to get an idea of exposure. And if I just scroll down here a little bit and look at, yeah, okay. So I do like to look at kind of the volatility of the exposure over time, and it's not, it got a little higher, maybe 1,300 or so. We are going into the election. Look, if Trump loses, we could see a significant correction in Ethereum and Bitcoin. So I think that gives a little, we have to expect that we could see more volatility than we've seen over the last, 2 weeks, right? So I think we have to take that into consideration. All right, but then going back up here, I just wanted to look at one more thing with everybody. What are good trades that could pair well with Ethereum? So bonds are uncorrelated, natural gas, really all the bonds, the 30s, the 10s, the 5s, and the 2s, crude oil, okay? Japanese yen, gasoline, copper. The one caught my eye is kind of gold and silver. They're not perfectly uncorrelated, about 10% or less, but I thought there's a lot of interest in gold and silver here, and it's interesting to look at both crypto and precious metals, right? If we go down here and look at the correlations, here we can see, again, we're just looking at 2-hour data, but here's Ethereum. And if we go across, look down to the bottom, here's gold. Okay, so pretty uncorrelated. Copper. And over here, silver, also pretty uncorrelated. So less than 25% correlation. So a little Ethereum and maybe a little silver. Silver's looking, it's flashing some bullish signals in the cycles. So if we go back here, and that's portfolio B, excuse me. So let's say yes, long, and let's bump up our Ethereum a little bit. I think about, let's go with half. Let's see how that balances out. So long 1 silver and long half an Ethereum. Okay, portfolio B here. Just gonna go keep the Ethereum. Okay, all right, give me just a minute here while that recomputes. Okay. All right. So when we combined those two, Ethereum and silver, we got a 26% diversification. Let's see how balanced our positions are. So if we come down here, a little more exposure to silver than to Ethereum, but it's in the ballpark. And a pretty good diversification, just adding one other asset, together with Ethereum and getting that much diversification from one asset. That comes from using uncorrelated positions. So it was interesting to me that Ethereum was uncorrelated relatively with gold and silver, and that caught my eye. And I wanted to, give us the chance to leverage some diversification, especially as we're heading into a potentially volatile event. So that's it on the best opportunity I saw this week, which is this trade in Ethereum. It's not without its risks, right? Bitcoin's been stronger than Ethereum. Ethereum has struggled to really break out. It's below some of its moving averages, but we've got a pretty clear signal here on the 2-hour data. We've got a support from the shorter term timeframes and reasonable support from the higher term timeframes. And at the moment, things are looking up. So that's what I've got today. And we've looked at some risk management around it, 5 Ethereum, about $1,200 of risk. But going into a more volatile event, and then Ethereum also pairs well, if you think of a dinner plate with your different dishes, with both gold and silver, which I thought was pretty interesting. All right, let's take a break, see if you've got questions and what else is on your mind. So, all right. Let's see. Arian, picture and all, thank you. Could you please talk a little bit about the profitability score under the info box tab? I've been using it to see how well a curve fits the pricing structure Perhaps I am wrong in that assumption. Great question, Ariane. Yes, we can take a look at that. Longer term Bitcoin and Ethereum cycles seem weak, so perhaps it's better to trade it on short term cycles. I think there's plenty of support from the daily cycles. Yes, some of the weekly cycles, the longer term cycles do suggest weakness. And I am keeping, these timeframes pretty tight and keeping a close eye on the shorter term cycles. I think, there are times we have to be more vigilant, more attentive. And this is one of those times. I think there's opportunity, but I do think there's risk. And you're absolutely right to point out that some of the longer term cycles are not supportive of shorter term gains. All right, Ariane, let's look at your question here. So over here, these three dots on the right side, if you right click on them or with a on a PC, or if you double click on them on a Mac trackpad, you can get some additional information. So there's a phase score and there's a profitability score. Okay, so 100% on this number one cycle here. Okay, if we just look at that cycle, we can see, that if you sold at the top, bought at the bottom, profit, bought at the bottom, sold at the top, profit, sold, bought, sold, 100% profitability. Okay, that's pretty good. Another tool here, Ariane. This is a filter tool. It's called the band pass filter. Lars has talked about it a bit in his show. I think we've talked about it a little bit on here too. But here's the cycle, the clear sine wave cycle. And if you see this fainter blue wave here, okay, which is, it's called the band pass filter of the price action around that cycle. If you get this lining up pretty well, then that is also a good sign that the cycle is stable and it's working. Okay. If, for a 241 cycle, we got 850 periods here. So that's 1, 2, 3.5 instances of the cycle. Might want to add a little more data here and just see if the cycle doesn't completely fall apart. Okay, lengthened out a little bit to 259, but I wouldn't say it fell apart. Still the number one cycle, still 100% profitability. So on the 2-hour data, this is a pretty stable cycle. We could even go back a little bit more. Still stable, now 258. And still 100% profitability on, now over what? So that's, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 full iterations of the cycle. So great question. And definitely some tools there to look at to help figure out which are the most profitable, most stable, best performing cycles that we can find. Not seeing any other questions at the moment. So give you just a minute to see if you have any more questions, and I will just briefly, because I know everybody likes to take a look at overall signals. So just show you what I'm seeing in my trends. Definitely getting some breakdown in the stock market trends. We've seen that over the past week. We'll see if it holds. Bonds have just been getting crushed and not getting up off the floor. So trends continue down. And the cycles are negative on bonds now too. Maybe it's the Trump trade. Maybe it's just the cycles and the trends. Gold holding up nicely. Silver holding up nicely. Copper turning up. Platinum, palladium. We've looked at Bitcoin and Ethereum today. And energy also turning up trend-wise as well. Natural gas showing signs of life again. The dollar has been surging, as we all know, taking a little break at the moment. Personally, I think it's just consolidating. And if you're going to short a currency, I think the yen is a better short than the euro. So that's what I'm seeing overall, market-wise. Hope you all got a chance to see that. Let's see. Do you have a few questions in here now? Edward, comment a little bit on the methodology of selecting a time frame for short-term trades. So great question, Edward. For me, it's like, where do I see the best cycles? Where do I see the best signals? But also, way more important than that is, how often can I check my computer? You know, how attentive can I be to the markets? Do I want to be hyper attentive? Do I want to be on, say, a 30-minute or even a 15-minute time frame where I'm checking, or even a 5-minute time frame? If I'm really into it, if I'm at the computer all day and I want to trade, I'll be looking at 5-minute data. Okay. But for most of my stuff, you know, I'm not in front of my computer all week long. I got a lot of different responsibilities and projects. So the 1 hour and the 2 hour usually give me like 1 to 2 week trades, which is something that I'm comfortable with. And I really use those to establish like how much risk can I take? What should my position sizes be? What kind of, you know, trades can I put together to give me diversification? So that selection of, say, 2 hours is usually a risk management choice more so than a, you know, the best signals are on the 2 hour data across all the things that I trade. It can be a little bit of that, but more it's a risk management decision. So I hope that helps. I think we already got that one. Bruno, take a look at the yen. Sure. And then we've gone over 30 minutes now, so maybe we'll wrap it up with that and let everybody get back to figuring out who's going to win tonight. All right, so the yen. Let's take a look at the yen. Let's see, where's the best place to start? I'll start back here. Nothing really jumping out at me there, actually. But we can just pull up a chart of the yen. This is daily data on yen futures. Okay, so the cycles aren't super inspiring here. Bartels are all pretty low, right? I don't know. Let's go look at a little shorter term time frame, say 2 hour data. Get some clearer cycles in the 2 hour data. And in particular, this 154, the number one cycle. I mean, not an inspiring rally off the bottom here, right? If we look at this, the profitability on this cycle hasn't been great. You can see the cycle not, you know, definitely deviating out of the bands a bit here, but not bad either. See, the number 2 cycle is this 96 cycle here. And the number 3 cycle is the 71. So a little on the, these are some better cycles than we're seeing on the daily. Definitely seeing some weakness there. In general, it's more about being bullish on the dollar than being bearish on the yen. I just think the yen has been weaker than the euro. And I think the dollar is strong. So hope that helps, Bruno. Thanks for the question. All right. Careful out there, everybody. A lot of uncertainty. Could be unprecedented volatility. And I think we all have to remember that. So I'm going to be watching markets, starting at 8 p.m. tonight. I feel like I have to be that attentive to things given what could happen. So meanwhile, the markets so far seem to be pretty confident in their predictions, and things aren't really shifting that much from what we've been looking at over the last few weeks. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for your support. If you are not a member of the foundation, please do join. Please please share this information with others. Help us grow. We really appreciate it. We can't do it without you. And I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.